What if our future self would leave a letter from the future, or like a vision board with all of those pictures that came true, of the dreams that you wished for that have happened, or entry in a diary, like few pages from a diary? Would you want to read it? Would you want to look into it? Would you want to know who you became? I found a vision board and a piece of letter that I wrote a few years ago in 2018 to myself, and I did not read them. I didn't know what's in there until right now, and we are going to find out what I've learned, because there are a couple valuable lessons. So let's find out together. Sometimes I find it interesting how our goals and dreams change so much, because I just found like a letter that I left for my future self in 2018 in December. There are some interesting thoughts that I had and things I view differently, some of them. It's obviously in Czech language, but I will translate to you some of the things. One of the first things that I say is to only feel the good emotions. Any of the negative ones I don't want to feel. And I view the world in a very different light today, because I feel like the dark emotions or the negative emotions that nobody wants to experience, because we seek pleasure, we want to experience only the good things. But we forget that in the darkness, there is growth. What you don't like and what you don't want to see, what you want to avoid, what you don't want to feel, is what shows or put light onto the things that you need to grow in. So for example, I would be sad about how don't want to study because I feel like I'm worthless because I always get bad grades. This feeling only shows and put light onto the fact that you feel like the grades are so important, maybe even more important than you as a human being are valued. It's important to experience even the bad emotions, because you can grow from them and you can learn a lot from the bad emotions. And that's also where your most limiting beliefs lie at. So when you embrace those bad emotions, you can work on them, you can really acknowledge them and then get rid of them because they no longer serve you. I skipped some of them, but next thing I say that what I really like is I used to want to have more space, more time, more freedom, and also more plans. As you can see around me, I have quite a lot. And you never really get more time or more space. You always have like the same or similar-ish. We all have 24 hours in a day, right? But it's how you use that time and how you choose to live every single day in order to feel like you have more time, or in order to feel like you have more time for yourself. I think that's very interesting, a viewpoint that I have now that I clearly didn't have back then. But remind you, in 2018 I was only 17, so I'm actually quite proud of myself that at the age of 17 I wanted to be more in touch with myself, more loving towards myself, more spiritual. That's actually quite good. But don't get me wrong, I also had some little superficial thoughts. For example, it says, I wanted to be a minimalist, hipster, eco, and absolutely more spiritual, and also a great sense of style, so everybody would love to be me or be friends with me. This is clearly a 17-year-old girl thoughts, but some of the other stuff that I wished for actually made sense, and me looking back at it now, I don't really cringe that much. And that's also the topic of today's video that I wanted to talk about as well. Why do we cringe so much on the past version of ourselves? It just puts into a perspective really that we don't accept some parts of ourselves, because past you is still you within you. And the fact that you don't accept yourself few years ago, what does it says about you now? Because the future you probably hates on you as well. So we have to kind of like stop this cringe looking bad at ourselves. We did the best we knew back then. Now we're doing the best we know now. And future us will look at me now or you now and think, oh, I could have done that instead of this. But it's the wisdom in which you need to realize that you're doing the best you can, and no matter what you do you, and it's great no matter what, because you do it. In a lot of spiritual practices it says that time is not linear, and I know for a fact that that's true, because I can feel it. I can feel that you can easily shift realities like this once you like become somebody else. You can choose your character. You can be whoever you want to be. But I can't really wrap my head around the fact that time is not linear, because it feels very linear, if that makes sense. But all at the same time, you can, for example, me, I struggle with like remembering stuff from the past, and I no longer feel like I'm that person that I used to be. I am so in tune with what I am now, and I'm not focused what I used to be. I'm not focusing on the future me. I'm living in the moment, and that's probably why I keep like having a hard time remembering or thinking about the future. So the things that I leave for myself, like this vision board right here, are very interesting to me, because like I don't remember what I used to want a few years ago. And when you see it in front of yourself, you realize that, I really did grow. And that's a good thing. If you did not cringe, and if you did not realize those things are different now than it was before, that would be actually a bad sign, because you want to grow, you want to evolve, you want to become better and better and better, because that's what you're supposed to do here, right? But not to the point where you like view the life as a one big lesson, and the only thing you have to do is learning lessons, because life is about balance. You need to find kind of a space between those two. I also find it strange that whenever you like make a vision board or write yourself a letter, what do you want to achieve, and you look back at it and you realize that most of the things, when you actually set your mind to it, they came true. And I find that so interesting, and it's so cool, and it gives me such a warm feeling, as if like somebody really was listening out there, the universe or God or whatever you believe in. And it feels good, it feels rewarding, doesn't it? I also found like a diary of things that one boy that I used to like, all of the nice things that he have done for me. And at first I wanted to look into it and read some of it, but I don't want to. It's clearly like past. But it made me realize how quick we are to appreciate all of the nice things other people do for us and be so grateful, clearly. But whenever it comes to us, we don't really value the nice things, or we don't even do the nice things for ourselves. And I don't want to do that anymore. That's why I don't even want to read it, because I know it would not be pleasant for me. It would be quite uncomfortable. But I'm grateful that I did that, because I ended up breaking up with this boy, and now looking back at it, it's like 3 years ago. I'm, in a much better place with myself, and I realized that I might start doing a diary of nice things that I did for myself. That would be much more meaningful, in my opinion. One nice thing that I did for myself yesterday was, we had like a disagreement with my dad, and I immediately started crying. So I went into my room, I sat down with myself and wrote down. I had like 5 pieces of paper fully covered in text, handwritten, and sat down and really thought about what was really going on. How does it make me feel? So I could like value my own feelings. And I recommend you to do that as well, because you will learn a lot from the arguments about yourself and what you can work on yourself. So I sat down, wrote down everything, and started thinking, okay, so what does it say about me? I didn't come up with anything. So I went to my dad and said, okay, this is how it made me feel. And he said, that's not my intention. That was not what I meant. You just really took it the wrong way around. And he explained it to me what he meant, and it really made me valued like as a person and all my feelings. And I realized by the thing he said that you really are projecting your own insecurities onto every single interaction you have in this life, and it's so crazy how much this life is trying to show you and trying to push you to grow. Because it was not the fact that he did not listen to me or that I felt judged by him, because he did not mean that. It was because I took it that wrong way, because I felt that way towards myself, and I need to work on that within myself. And that hit me like a truck, I can tell you that. And I really encourage you to do that as well. Communicate, how does it make you feel? And realize that it may not be that person's intention. And that could be just you projecting your insecurities onto them and villainizing them in order for you to be the victim. Because that's really how you place yourself if you say, oh, that person hurt me, because you are the victim. But that's not really the situation, that's not really the case, right? And also, don't take everything so personally. Sometimes people also project their own insecurities onto you. So it's not like they are talking about you, they're talking about themselves as well. Well, that was quite a heavy topic. Let's do a vision board together now, shall we? We're actually not going to do that, we're going to do it in the next video, but I'm going to tell you about it first. So I already made a new Pinterest list, or whatever it's called when you like save the pins. And I want to go through it, save the ones that I really want to have on that, maybe like 10 or 15 of those, and put them into a Word document and maybe print them later and place them on the paper sheet and write some things down next to it and really make it beautiful and aesthetic so I can manifest with it. That was it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you learned anything new, give a thumbs up and subscribe to be part of our self-love community, because honestly, it's quite disrespectful that you are still watching and not subscribing, baby.